How housemate named Tonia saved her millionaire boss from food poisoning. Tonia's hands trembled as she set the dinner plate on the polished mahogany table. Grilled salmon, roasted vegetables, a glass of red wine. Everything perfect, just the way Mr. Adewale liked it. After 3 years working as his housemate, she knew his preferences by heart. "Dinner is ready, sir," she called softly toward the study where her boss was working late. "Thank you, Tonia. I'll be there in 5 minutes," his tired voice replied. Tonia nodded and headed back to the kitchen. She'd forgotten the water. Mr. Adewale always had a glass of water with his meals. She was filling the crystal glass when she heard it. A step in the dining room. But Mr. Adewale was still in his study. She could hear him on a phone call. Her heart began to race. Slowly, quietly, Tonia moved toward the dining room doorway. She peeked around the corner and froze. Mr. Adewale's personal assistant, David, the man everyone trusted, the man who'd worked for the company for 8 years, was standing over the dinner plate. In his hand was a small vial. As Tonia watched in horror, David uncapped it and carefully poured a clear liquid over the food. Poison. Tonia's blood turned to ice. David stirred the food gently, mixing the poison in, then pocketed the vial and walked quickly toward the hallway. Tonia pressed herself against the wall, heart hammering. David passed within inches of her and headed toward the front door. The moment he was gone, Tonia ran. Sir, please don't eat the food." Mr. Adewale looked up from his desk, startled. "Tonia, what's wrong?" "The food, sir. Don't touch it. I just saw David. He put something in your food." "Listen, sir. I saw him." The color drained from Mr. Adewale's face. "You're absolutely certain?" "Yes, sir. A small bottle. Clear liquid." He poured it over the salmon and stirred it in. Mr. Adewale stood abruptly. "Don't touch anything in the dining room. I'm calling the police." Within 20 minutes, the house was filled with police officers. The food was photographed, carefully packaged, sent for testing. The dining room became a crime scene. Detective Williams took Tonia's statement. "And you're certain it was David Okonkwo?" "Completely certain, sir. I've worked here 3 years. I see him nearly every day." "It was him. Did he see you?" "No, sir. I was in the kitchen doorway. He didn't know I was there." Detective Williams nodded grimly. "That's probably the only reason you're still alive, young lady." The words sent chills down Tonia's spine. 2 hours later, David was found at a bar across town, drinking whiskey and checking his watch, waiting for news that his boss had died. He was arrested without incident, just smiled sadly and said, "I suppose someone saw me." The next morning, Detective Williams arrived with news. He confessed. Completely. Gave us everything. "Why?" Mr. Adewale demanded. "Why did he do it?" Detective Williams sighed. "Money. He wasn't working alone. He had partners 2 men were tracking down. They planned to kill you, then use David's position to access your accounts, forge documents, and transfer millions before anyone noticed you were dead." Mr. Adewale went pale. "How much?" "They were targeting 12 million initially. Everything in your accessible accounts. They'd been planning this for 6 months. David had already created false documentation, set up offshore accounts. It was sophisticated. If Tonia hadn't seen him." He looked at Tonia. "You saved your boss's life. No question." Tonia felt tears prick her eyes. "They would have killed him right there at his own dinner table." "Yes. And you stopped them." The food analysis came back. Cyanide. Enough to kill a man within minutes. David's 2 accomplices were arrested a week later trying to flee to Ghana. All 3 received 25-year sentences for attempted murder and conspiracy to commit fraud. But there was more to the story. 3 months later, Detective Williams returned. "We dug deeper into David's background. This wasn't just about money." He laid out emails and messages. David had a brother. Younger brother named Samuel. 15 years ago, your company fired Samuel for embezzlement. The shame destroyed their family. Samuel committed suicide a year later. Mr. Adewale remembered. Samuel Okonkwo. Before my time, but I knew the case. David blamed your company for his brother's death. When he got hired as your PA 8 years ago, it wasn't chance. It was revenge. He'd been planning this for years. The money was important, yes. But killing you, that was personal. The room fell silent. So Tonia didn't just save you from robbery. She saved you from a man consumed by vengeance. 2 weeks after the arrest, Mr. Adewale called Tonia into his study. Sit down, Tonia. Please. She sat nervous. I've been thinking about what you did. About what you risked. You could have stayed silent. You could have been too scared to speak up. Sir, please. Let me finish. You saved my life. There's no debt greater than that. But I want to try. He slid an envelope across the desk. Tonia opened it with trembling fingers. Inside was a check for 2 million naira. He gasped. Sir, this is too much. The money isn't the real gift. He slid another envelope. This is. Inside were legal documents, scholarship papers, admission to the University of Lagos, full tuition, housing, stipend, everything. You told me once that you'd had to drop out of university because your family couldn't afford it, that you'd always dreamed of finishing your degree in business administration. So finish it, me. And when you graduate, there's a position waiting for you at my company. Not as a housemate, as a junior executive. Tonia couldn't speak. Tears streamed down her face. You've proven you have integrity, intelligence, and courage. Those are the qualities I value most. Sir, I don't know what to say. Say yes. Yes. Thank you so much. Mr. Adewale stood and walked around the desk. He did something he'd never done in 3 years. He embraced her. A fatherly hug, full of genuine affection. Thank you, Tonia. You gave me my life. Let me help you build yours. Over the next 4 years, Tonia threw herself into her studies. She graduated top of her class, first-class honors. And Mr. Adewale was there for everything. He'd become more than a boss. He'd become the father she'd lost when she was 12. Tonia adjusted her graduation cap, smiling as her name was called. Tonia Olamide, Bachelor of Business Administration, first-class honors. The auditorium erupted in applause. In the front row, Mr. Adewale stood, clapping louder than anyone, his face beaming with pride. 4 years had passed since that terrible night. 4 years since she'd watched a trusted employee try to poison her boss. 4 years since her life had changed forever. And true to his word, Mr. Adewale offered her a position. Junior Executive Business Development Division. A real career. A real future. At the graduation dinner, Mr. Adewale raised his glass. A toast to Tonia, the woman who saved my life, who proved that integrity and courage still exist in this world, and who has become like a daughter to me. Tonia's eyes filled with tears. Thank you, sir, for everything, for believing in me, for changing my life. No, thank you. You gave me back my life. Everything I've done since then, every day I've had, is because of you. He smiled. Besides, I'm a businessman. This is an excellent investment. You're going to make my company a fortune someday. Everyone laughed, but there were tears too. Late that night, Tonia stood in her new apartment, a graduation gift. She looked at her business degree on the wall, at the job offer letter framed beside it. She thought about that night 4 years ago. About seeing David pour poison into her boss's food. About the split-second decision to speak up. What if she'd stayed silent? Mr. Adewale would be dead. David would have stolen millions. And Tonia would still be working minimum wage. Dreams deferred. One choice. One moment. Everything changed. Tonia Olamide, now 38, stood at the front of the boardroom. And that's my proposal for the new expansion. Questions? The board members nodded approvingly. As Vice President of Business Development, Tonia had transformed the company's growth trajectory. Her innovative strategies had doubled revenue in 5 years. But she never forgot where she started. In her office hung a photo. Her at 28 in her housemate uniform, standing in Mr. Adewale's kitchen. A reminder of humble beginnings. Mr. Adewale, now 72 and semi-retired, still called her every Sunday. "How's my favorite VP?" Tired but happy. David had been released from prison after serving 18 years. He'd written to Tonia once, a long letter of apology. She'd read it, cried, and filed it away. Forgiveness was a process, but the lesson remained. One moment of courage. One choice to do right. One decision to speak up when silence would have been easier. That moment had saved a life, built a career, created a family. People often ask Tonia, "Weren't you scared? What if David had seen you?" And she always gave the same answer. "Of course I was scared, terrified. But I thought about Mr. Adewale dying alone at his dinner table because I was too afraid to speak. And I couldn't live with that. Some things matter more than fear." Tonia's story isn't really about stopping a murder, though she did. It's not really about getting rewarded, though she was. It's about the choice we all face every single day. See evil and stay silent, or see evil and speak up. Tonia was just a housemate. Just an ordinary young woman trying to make a living. But on one extraordinary night, she became something more. She became a lifesaver. Hero. A testament to the power of doing right. We all face those moments. Times when we see something wrong. When speaking up feels dangerous. When silence feels safer. Tonia's story reminds us. Speak anyway. Do right anyway. 'Cause you never know whose life you might save. You never know how one moment of courage might change everything. Most of us will never witness attempted murder. But we'll all see injustice. Witness cruelty. Observe wrongdoing. And in those moments we'll have Tonia's choice. Fear or courage. Silence or action. Self-protection or standing up. Tonia chose courage. And it changed 2 lives forever. What will you choose when your moment comes? 'Cause that moment defines you. Not your position. Not your salary. But your character. Your integrity. Your willingness to do right even when it costs you. Tonia proved that heroism isn't about power or position. It's about character and courage. And that's a legacy no title can match.